श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। यथाग्नेर्दाहिका शक्ति रामकृष्णे स्थिता हि या सर्वविद्यास्वरूपान्तां शारदां प्रणमाम्यहम्। ॐ नमो भगवते रामकृष्णाय। My respectful pranams to Revered Swami Shantatmananda Ji Maharaj, to Revered Swami Sarvasthananda Ji Maharaj. My warm regards and best wishes to all the devotees and others who are seekers of spiritual knowledge that are present here. The broad theme of this 2-day retreat is true education through training of the mind. The topic of the talk in this session is techniques of meditation in the light of Naradiya Bhakti. Meditation, as we all know, concerns itself with concentrating the mind on some chosen ideal. Very many techniques have been taught by the great teachers, controlling the mind, as we see in the yoga philosophy, practicing awareness of the effulgent, eternal principle within us, and looking on the thoughts that rise and fall in mind. That is Jnana Yoga. Engaging oneself in selfless activity, continuous selfless activity in the spirit of the worship of God. Continuous selfless activity. This is Karma Yoga. Another method is Bhakti Yoga, the path of love of God, the path in which the love of God is practiced. This comes in very handy because in this modern age, the other methods are difficult. If we say some disturbing thoughts come to my mind, I am unable to meditate. This is the situation which we face often. The great teachers, acharyas, would say, no, if disturbing, some unwanted negative thoughts come in mind, you bring in the counter thoughts and try to remove them or nullify them. And again, you also try that such thoughts will not rise at all. These are the messages we get from the great teachers. In the modern age, this seems to be difficult because though we try, maybe for a minute or two, we may try this, and again the previous impressions crop up in the mind. So, not more than 1 or 2 minutes we can meditate. Actually, in the meditation per se happens only 1 minute or 2 minutes. All the other time when we are sitting, we are probably struggling with in bringing back the mind, or we are arguing with some person in the mind. This is what actually happens. So, yoga seems to be difficult for us. Not that yoga is ineffective. In our case, we are thinking now. Yoga seems to be difficult for us. Another is the continuous performance of actions, selfless actions. This seems to be easy, is it not? We can serve, we can perform some selfless activity. Say those who are opulent, those who are well to do, they may start some charity, or those who are skilled, they may contribute technically. That is good. But the problem lies elsewhere. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna points it out we find it in the Kathamrita. It is good that you can do karma, but it should be without this sense of ego, without hankering for fame, which is very difficult for us. Performing charity, for performing service, selfless activity, we may attempt, but somewhere in the corner of the mind, a thought lingers on. Say, for example, I am given an opportunity to serve in this temple here, maybe cleaning the shrine or washing the vessels or something like that. There will always be, probably, some thought lingering that the head Swamiji may praise me, seeing the sincerity, if at all there is something. Or regularly, when I come and perform this service, somewhere in the mind a thought lingers, it pulsates that this service will be marked, this will be noted, and will be rewarded in some way. This thought remains in the mind. Until this is there, I am not practicing karma yoga at all. Then how will I begin? This desire for fame or desire for recognition is there in all of us. So karma yoga also appears to be difficult. Then practice of jnana yoga, it is also difficult. Jnana yoga, what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to be established in the Atman. That's all. But now, where are we established in? We are very much conscious of our body, physical being. In case, sometimes, if we rise a little above, we are very much conscious of our thoughts, our feelings. Someone speaks a few good words, and I keep remembering him. His face comes to my mind automatically. I was supposed to be established in the Atman. I am in the level of thoughts. When I am hungry, when I am thirsty, it directly comes down to the body level. So, staying in the Atman consciousness, it is very difficult. I am not able to attempt that. Then, Bhakti Yoga comes in as a great aid. The technique in Bhakti is you need not stop the thoughts. You need not try to look upon the rising and falling thoughts and stay in Atman consciousness. Or you need not think about the hankering for fame, name, etc. What you are supposed to do is use all these faculties. They are all faculties after all. So many thoughts arise in mind, it's good. And I have some hankering for something, that is good. Only change the direction, you reorient it towards God. Say, which is very, let us take a practical example. We have some love and attachment either to some person or to some object. Every one of us have that. We feel affinity for some person who is very compatible with us. And we feel a sort of attachment for a few things which are very helpful and which are to our taste. This attachment is there. Bhakti Yoga says it is no problem at all. Only change the object of attachment. You try to get attached to the blessed lotus feet of the Lord. If you find that your mind goes out in love towards an object, you direct it towards the feet of the Lord. This is the technique of Bhakti Yoga. Now, some practical problems come. I get angry. Some situations are like that, we become angry. Then what will you do with that? Will you turn this anger also towards God? What should I do? The Bhakti philosophy says you turn that also to God alone. Whatever passions are in the mind, you need not worry that these are all negative elements and they are obstructions. Of course, they are obstructions. Now, we have a new method. We can direct all these energies. Each passion is an enormous packet of energy. It is not a simple thing. It will just sweep us away. But if we can use these energy currents to direct our minds to God, they become an aid. Once, Narendra, Swami Vivekananda, in his young age, he expressed before Sri Ramakrishna that the siren of a company, some industry, it was disturbing him while practicing meditation. Sri Ramakrishna says, you concentrate on that itself. That solved his problem. This is the method of bhakti. Whatever comes as an obstacle, you ride on that and reach God. Some other wave has come, maybe grief or some other thing. You ride on that and reach God. Every one of the thought that comes should remind us of the blessed lotus feet of Lord. This is the technique. So the unique feature, the speciality of bhakti, what are they? One by one, we'll just recollect a few of them. The Shastra, the Narada Bhakti Sutra says, Phalarupatvat. Bhakti is the means as well as the ends. Bhakti itself is the goal. That is one unique feature. Then it is easier than any other path. Anyasmat saulabhyam bhaktau, it is said in the sutra. It is easier than any other path. Why? Pramanantarasya anapekshatvat swayam pramanatvat. Bhakti need not be testified by some other agent. What is the proof, we ask, is it not? If I am practicing bhakti, what is the proof that I am practicing bhakti? Bhakti itself is the proof. Pramanantarasya anapekshatvat. There is no other testimony is required. Swayam pramanatvat. That itself is a proof. How? You remember some moments when you had experienced bhakti, when there are no other people, you have gone to a temple and you are in an isolated state. A few moments, a few seconds when we feel that urge to pray to God, do you have any doubt about that? You are convinced. How? It immediately gives you the peace of mind and a sense of joy. No other person need to certify that it is correct. You would say that no, I had given my mind to the feet of Lord. That itself is a proof. Shanti Rupat Paramananda Rupacha. The reasons are given why bhakti anyasmat saulabhyam bhaktau. It is more favorable than any other path. The acharyas give the reasons for that. Another reason is Shanti Rupat Paramananda Rupacha. Shanti Rupat, while practicing this devotion, we feel a unique tranquility, serenity in the mind. Shanti Rupat, Paramananda Rupacha, that itself is a great bliss. When by God's grace, the actual bhakti dawns in us, that itself is a great bliss. Next, there are the two features we saw. Then, in the modern age, what do you call this age as? Maybe, huh? Yes, yes. So many things are there now. You may call it a digital age. Now AI age, is it not? And then artificial real, no, one more. Virtual reality, and that also has gone. And one more new thing has come. There are two things are clubbed now. So many things are there. You may tell so many things, but in the context of our spiritual practices, one thing is certain: this is the age of pollution. Maybe many other things are there. This is the age of pollution. Pollution of what? What not, you should ask. Of not what. Everywhere pollution. You take food, water, milk. Now they are coming up with aerated waters and mineralized waters. In the first case, water had enormous minerals. Our rishis used to just take from the river and drink, and it was rich in minerals. Later on, all unwanted things were thrown into the river and became dirty, and now they tried to purify that. Reverse osmosis. There are so many techniques to purify the water. They purified it, and then they found that it is dead water. There is no life in that. Now they want to put life into that, and they will add some salts. So this type of some great fuss is going on, not only in food or water, everywhere. It's a very difficult time that we are passing through. In this age, practicing yoga, jnana, karma are all very challenging. We don't have time to test different things and settle down upon one. We want a sure short method which will carry us away from this grief and reach us to the bliss. The acharyas say, bhakti is very easy in this age. Bhakti will hone, that is, it will reorientate all the faculties. Nothing needs to be given up. Let us take the example of this wonderful ashrama, this wonderful Vedanta center in London. So many devotees come, they do their part of service under the affectionate guidance of our Maharaj. It is very nice to watch this. Here, say someone comes, some new, let us say tomorrow a new devotee or some new seeker of knowledge comes, and he finds that other devotees are all working here. Someone is preparing some shrine things, preparation for the puja. Someone is working in the kitchen. Someone is helping in some other task. He finds that he has not any of this. Maybe he is not able to cook. He doesn't know all these worship things. Then he'll be sitting in a corner and he'll be thinking how I can also be a part of that. Then our Maharaj will come and say that, hello, brother, what are you doing? Maybe he will say that I am such and such a technician. Oh, well, that is great. You please come. You can serve Sri Ramakrishna's place here with this some maintenance job. That is the speciality of bhakti. What is the speciality? Everyone will get a role. No one will be discarded. That Bhagavan Sri Krishna showed that in the Gita. If you are depressed, you also have a role. Arjuna Vishada Yoga is there. So in the bhakti, everything, all the integral human personality. You need not give up anything, but you should only orientate it. You should direct it towards God. This is one benefit. Next, that means it accommodates everyone in the place where he is at the present. From wherever we are, from there we get a opportunity to rise above. That is the speciality of bhakti. Then one more thing pointed out by Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. Bhakti excels in taming the otherwise die-hard ego. Ego is a die-hard defaulter. Whatever you do, it won't leave us. Bhakti is a very efficient tool to train this fellow. Next, it adds a bliss edge to every one of your endeavors. It will add a bliss edge to every one of our endeavors. Whatever we do, that will end in joy, because bhakti itself is of the form of joy. This much. Now we will see what is bhakti yoga. What is bhakti yoga? Bhagavan Shankaracharya says in the Bhagavad Gita Bhashya, he says, Bhajanam bhaktihi sa eva yogaha bhakti yogaha. What does it mean? Bhajanam. The meaning of the root says seva, bhaja sevayam. And again, what is seva? That is a very, very difficult term. Not a very difficult term. It is a complex, it has so many shades of meanings. Seva means worship, of course. Loving service, that also is there. All these things come together. Worship, service, an act of kindness, everything will come in this word of seva. It says bhakti, he means bhajanam. Bhajanam means all these things. That itself is a yoga, is bhakti yoga. So now if anyone asks us, what is bhakti yoga? What should we say? Still it is not clear for us. Bhakti means worship, a loving act of worship. Yoga means the means to get united with God. Once again, yoga means yujyate anena iti yoga. Yoga means the means by which we can reach God. Now, bhakti means the loving act of service or devotion. So, what is bhakti yoga? The means by which we can reach God through the worship, loving act of service. This is bhakti yoga. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna defines it very well. It contains some more insights. Let us see what Ramakrishna says. Even after, I quote this, even after attaining samadhi, some retain the servant ego or the devotee ego. The bhakta keeps this I consciousness. He says, O God, thou art the master and I am thy servant. Thou art the Lord and I am thy devotee. He feels that way even after the realization of God. His I means I sense, the ego, is not completely effaced. Again, by constantly practicing this kind of I consciousness, one ultimately attains God. This is called Bhakti Yoga. Did you notice there are two parts in this? First one is with regard to the realized soul who has attained the goal. What is it? He retains the ego after attaining to God and says, Thou art the Lord and I am thy devotee. He feels that way he feels even after the realization of God. That means his I sense remains as a child, as a servant, as a friend. In this mode, he retains his consciousness. individuality. He retains like that. Ramakrishna then makes a comment. He says, again, by constantly practicing this is for us. This is the message for us. This is what the realized men do. Now we can adopt that. Means you just download the template into your mind. That's what the realized people do. Realized men do. Now what we will try to imitate that. What will we try to imitate? We will say again, by constantly practicing this kind of I consciousness, I am the servant of the Lord, I am the child of the Lord. Like this, if we practice, one ultimately attains God. That is also possible. It works the other way around. This is called Bhakti Yoga. This is what Bhagavan Sri Shankaracharya also points out in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita in his Bhashya. He says, Sarvatraiva hi adhyatma shastre kritartha lakshanani yani tanyeva sadhanani upadishyante yatna sadhyatvat. Yani yatna sadhyani sadhanani lakshanani cha bhavanti tani. What does it mean? Sarvatraiva hi adhyatma shastre. In spiritual scriptures, everywhere, we find that yani kritartha lakshanani yani means the signs of the God men. Signs means the way they live, they talk, they behave. These are the few signs that we see on their person. The signs of these saints, these God men, are given in the scriptures as steps for realization. Tani sadhanani uchyante, upadishyante. Why? Yatna sadhyatvat. Because it is possible to practice that. When we see here senior Swamijis come here and they make pranams by falling prostrate before the God, we feel that I should also do like this. And again, we see that Maharaj comes here and sits when it is cold, when it is snowfall, when it is summer, he sits. We observe that. Oh, this sadhu is sitting like this. That means even if it is cold or hot or whatever, I also should go and sit in front of God. This is the message we get. In the same way, seeing that the realized devotees are always immersed in God and they are singing His names and praise, the seeker will think that if I also do this, maybe I will also reach God. This is Bhakti Yoga. Once, a devotee, Vijay, he asked Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. The conversation is like this. Vijay says, but those who discriminate according to the Vedanta philosophy also realize Him in the end, don't they? That was his question. Jnana Marga also is possible, is it not? He asks that. Sri Ramakrishna says, yes, one may reach Him by following the path of discrimination too. Discrimination means, not in the modern sense, here discrimination means to discern what is right, what is wrong, what is eternal, what is ephemeral, what is pure, what is impure. This is what is known as discrimination. Actually, the ignorance is the reverse of that. We consider the impure things as pure. We consider the transient things as eternal. This is the problem with us. Yoga Sutra says, Anitya Shuchi Dukkha Anatmasu Nitya Shuchi Sukhatma Khyati Ravidya. We consider Anitya as Nitya, Ashuchi as Shuchi, Dukkha as Sukha, and Anatma as Atma. This is our problem. Anyhow, so this type of discerning, segregating what is right and what is wrong, what is eternal and what is ephemeral, this is called as Jnana Yoga. But it is an extremely difficult path, Ramakrishna says. Then Sri Ramakrishna points out, if a man acquires the firm knowledge that Brahman alone is real and the world illusory, then his mind merges in samadhi. But in the Kali Yuga, the life of a man depends entirely on food. Annagata prana. Entirely on food. How much ever discussion we may make here and try and sit here like this and practice meditation, once it is time for food, it is burning in the pits of the stomach. No God, nothing, all forgotten. So, Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna points out that, but in the Kali Yuga, the life of a man depends entirely on food. How can he have the consciousness that Brahman alone is real and the world illusory? In the Kali Yuga, it is difficult to have the feeling. Kali Yuga means what? Those who don't know. The Iron Age, the present age that is going on is Kali Yuga. In the Kali Yuga, it is difficult to have the feeling, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the 24 cosmic principles. Don't worry about these technical terms. It refers to the Sankhya philosophy. Later on, you may refer to that. Nowadays, everything is available on the net. You just type Sankhya philosophy, you will get all the details there. 24 cosmic principles, Tattva, Chaturvimshati Tattva. I am beyond pleasure and pain. I am above disease and grief, old age and death. This is very difficult to practice, this type of thought. However, you may reason and argue, the feeling that the body is identical with the soul will somehow crop up from an unexpected quarter. You may cut a peepal tree. Yesterday, Maharaj was also talking about that. Say, for example, the banyan tree, if you cut that, again it will sprout the next day. You may cut a peepal tree to the ground and think it is dead to its very root. But the next morning you will find a new sprout shooting up from the dead stump. One cannot get rid of this identification with the body. Therefore, the path of bhakti is best for the people of the Kali Yuga. It is an easy path. Sri Ramakrishna says this. And again, one more interesting feature. Now we are talking about the true education by training of the mind. Here we are now selecting the method which will be optimum for us. That's what we are still now trying to fix. We want to train the mind. That will be the true education. But what is the method? Bhakti is the method, if you say. One more unique feature in bhakti, Sri Ramakrishna points out. He says about that. And I don't want to become sugar. I want to eat it. Jnana, the Mahavakyas, the Upanishads will say, Aham Brahmasmi. I am that Brahman. Ramakrishna says, I don't want that. I want to take the bliss of Brahman, retaining a little individual consciousness, purged of all the defects, and meant only for tasting the Brahman bliss. This is very special. Ramakrishna says, I don't want to become sugar. I want to eat it. I never feel like saying, I am Brahman. I say, Thou art my Lord and I am thy servant. My desire is to sing the name and glories of God. It is very good to look on God as the master and oneself as his servant. Further, you see, people speak of the waves as belonging to the Ganges. He gives one more reason behind the rationale, he says. In the Jnana Marga, Aham Brahmasmi, what does it mean? I am that Brahman. That's what is intended. Sri Ramakrishna points out that a wave, we are all like waves on the infinite ocean of existence, knowledge, bliss. Nobody will say this wave itself is the river Ganga. But they would say wave belongs to Ganga. That means no one will say Ganga belongs to wave. If you take the river Thames, let us say, here Thames is the river. We won't say that Thames belongs to this wave. No one will say that. They would rather say, this wave belongs to the Thames River. That's what Sri Ramakrishna points out. Further, you see, people speak of the waves as belonging to the Ganges, but no one says that the Ganges belongs to the waves. This was said by Bhagavan Shankara in one of his stotras. The one Vishnu Shatpadi is there. Samudrohi tarangaha na kvachana na kvachit taranga samudraha. That means this is the same thing. Ocean does not belong to the wave, rather, wave belongs to the ocean. A man who entertains such an idea means I am Brahman, I am God, this type of an idea, while looking on his body as the self, causes himself great harm. What does it mean? We are very much conscious of our body, mind, etc. And at this stage, to speak that I am Brahman will be totally wrong. He cannot go forward in spiritual life with this type of a hypocritical attitude. He drags himself down. He deceives himself as well as others. He cannot understand his own state of mind. Now, then, we often read in Kathamrita that Naradiya Bhakti is the method, is the way in this Kali Yuga. Where did Sri Ramakrishna get this? We can note the humility of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. He himself is an authority. If he says, that is sufficient. But he points out that he heard of this from someone. This why I wanted to emphasize this is an age of plagiarism. You can call so many things. Somebody works somewhere and that is just copied down and put. Nowadays the chat GPT is there. We don't know what it is. Is it plagiarism or what is it? They have methods. They have methods to avoid plagiarism. They say you have to prompt like this and so many things are going on. So in this age of plagiarism, we have to note this. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna says, do you know how my faith in the name of Hari was all the more strengthened? Holy men, as you know, frequently visit the temple garden. Ramakrishna is speaking of the temple garden in Dakshineshwar. Once a sadhu from Multan arrived. He was waiting for a party going to Ganga Sagar. That is one more holy place where Ganga meets the ocean. Then Master Mahashaya, the Mahendranath Gupta, was sitting by his side. Sri Ramakrishna says, pointing to him, the sadhu was of his age. It was he who said to me. See, Ramakrishna acknowledges the source of this piece of information. It was he who said to me, the way to realize God in the Kali Yuga is the path of bhakti as prescribed by Narada. Naradiya Bhakti, Bhagavan acknowledges, Ramakrishna Bhagavan acknowledges that he heard this from a sadhu from Multan. This is the Upanishadic way of teachers. In the Upanishad, teachers used to say, Ye ke chasmachreyagam so brahmana teshan tvaya asanena prashvasitavyam shraddhaya deyam, etc., etc. There the teacher, who himself is a Brahmajna, he says, if you find someone better than us, you have to sit quiet in their presence and listen to what they speak. The important point is, this Brahmajnani freely, openly says that there may be much, much better preachers, much, much better wise men, jnanis. See the vision, see the attitude the people had. Yekecha asmat shreyagam saha. Asmat means more than us. Shreyam saha, better in wisdom, better in knowledge, better in learning. If you come across such men, you should sit down quietly and listen to what they say. You should not say, I have come from Oxford, so I am top. Bullshit. It has no meaning. If you find excellence somewhere, accept. Learn at their feet, sit down at their feet and learn that. Only such people can attain proper learning. So this much about how Naradiya Bhakti becomes significant. Now we can quickly go through a few sutras. Sutras means Narada Bhakti Sutra, what it says. What is bhakti? The characteristic feature or the form, what it is said as Satvasmin Parama Prema Rupa. Parama Prema. Prema is intense love. Love. Parama means superior, very, very superior, fine, pure. That such a love is known as bhakti. Amrita Swarupacha. It is of the nature of Amrita. Amrita, you should not think that it is kept in a vessel and you can drink that. Here, Amrita means the state beyond death. Death will include all other modifications, vikara. That which is beyond death and birth, that is Amrita. Amrita means that which is consisted of death, which has an end. Amrita means it has no end. It is beyond destruction. Then, what is this prema? Now you may ask me, bhakti, if it is parama prema rupa, then what is this prema? Can any one of you tell? It cannot be explained. It can only be felt and experienced. That is why the sutra says, Anirvachaniyam premaswarupam. Then how will you come to know? Sutra says, Mukasvadanavat. As a dumb man, as a dumb person enjoys something, say you give him a very good quality sweet, the best that is available in England. He enjoys. You can see his joy in his eyes and he wants to, but he is dumb. Can he express it? It is not possible. And even if he is not dumb, there is one Bhamati Kara, one Bhamati Vachaspati Mishra Acharya is a Sarvatantra Swatantra. He says, even the goddess of learning cannot express the difference between the sweet taste of a sugarcane and the jaggery or the honey. Sweets are all there, but what is the difference between this sweetness and this sweetness? Even the goddess of learning cannot say that. It can only be experienced. Like that, it goes on. There are many like that. Finally, I didn't get what. Yes. It is Muka Swadanavat. That is what is said. Muka means dumb. Aswadana means relishing, tasting that. Muka Swad. The bhakti is, what is the nature of bhakti? It cannot be explained. How? Like a dumb being unable to speak of the sweetness he enjoyed. Now I'll skip the other thing. I'll just mention this. You may later on study in the Bhagavatam. We get the description of Tamasika Bhakti, Rajasika Bhakti, Sattvika Bhakti. Time will not permit now. And then it speaks of two more. Beyond these Triguna, there is one Nirguna Bhakti. It's superior to that. Beyond that comes the Atyantika Bhakti. Like that, very nicely they have graded that. And the Sridhara Swami, the celebrated commentator of the Bhagavata, he divides that, he shows how it comes. He says it could be divided and classified into 81 types. 81 types of bhakti. Now, the final thing will be techniques. We are supposed to discuss on techniques, is it not? I will just mention the techniques that are given in Narada Bhakti Sutra. Now, what did we gather now? Among the so many different options available in front of us to train our own mind, we have chosen Narada Bhakti. And in Narada Bhakti, we want options. Because all of us are not of the same nature. Each one will have his own taste. So Narada Bhakti gives 11 11 assorted variety of toffee. We'll see. Guna Mahatmya Sakti, Rupa Sakti, Puja Sakti, Smarana Sakti, Dasya Sakti, Sakhya Sakti, Vatsalya Sakti, Kanta Sakti, Atmanivedana Sakti, Tanmayata Sakti, Paramaviraha Sakti. What does it mean? Guna Mahatmya Sakti means being engrossed in praising the glories and names of God. Next, Rupa Sakti, being occupied with the holy form of God. Say, the holy form of Jesus Christ, holy form of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. Puja Sakti, engaging oneself in the worship, the service. Smarana Sakti, recollection, constantly remembering him. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna gave the example of toothache. It is always there. Or there are many other examples given by Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. The mother, she always has the thought of the child. She may be working here, going there. She always had that I have to go and feed him at this time. In that way, he keeps God always in his mind. We have the excellent example of Brother Lawrence, practice of presence of God. Smarana Sakti, Dasya Sakti, considering oneself as a servant. Sakhya Sakti, you can concentrate your mind by considering yourself as a friend to Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, even as Arjuna did. Arjuna was a Sakha of the Avatara Purusha. Vatsalya Sakti. Vatsalya is the love that one feels for young ones. Mother's love towards the child, father's affection towards the son. This is Vatsalya. You consider God as your child, even as Yashoda did and Mary did. Yashoda was Vatsalya. She had full of Vatsalya. Atmanivedana Sakti, to offer oneself at the altar of the God, at the feet of Lord. Atmanivedana means to offer oneself, to resign oneself into the hands of God. Something like giving the power of attorney. You give everything, you submit yourself to the God. Next, Tanmayata Sakti, being engrossed in God. Something like, as the people become obsessed with something, they used to teach Sri Ramakrishna, he is obsessed with God. Like that. That is Tanmayata Sakti. Paramaviraha Sakti. Even a moment of forgetfulness should bring enormous pain to you. Paramaviraha Sakti. And they feel that every moment becomes too long because they are unable to unite with God at this moment. The seekers, the devotees. This is one more option. With this, the techniques end. With the final one remark, I will conclude. This final one message from Sri Ramakrishna we will see, and with that we will conclude the discussion. Now, what are the action points? We had a discussion for nearly 55 minutes. What are the practical action points? What should I do now? That is the question now. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna gives that in 4 wonderful, succinct, and profound statements. Interestingly, that was conveyed to apparently illiterate Latu, Swami Adbhutanandaji. We all boast of our learning. This is a very good lesson to us. Thakur said, let me first utter that in Bangla, because as the words came out from the holy lips of the master, let us try to remember that first, and then we will see what it means in English. Jage joge jege thakbi, ঘুমের কালে তাকে ডাকবি, কাজের মাঝে তাকে ধরবি, আর হরদম তার সেবায় লাগবি. These are the 4 things. As we have Chatussutri in the Vedanta, probably we may take this as the Chatussutri in Bhakti Shastra. And also, if we give some thought to this, we will see the sweet confluence of all the four yogas into this. What are they? Jage, Joge, Jege, Thakbi. Jage means yaga, worship or sacrifice, worship. Yoga, meditation, practice of yoga, concentration. In these two, Jege, Thakbi, you should be vigilant. You should be very, very careful. You should not commit blunder, which is known as pramada. Pramado navadhanata. Pramada means inadvertence, carelessness. That is not allowed. Ramakrishna says, in matters of worship and in matters of meditation, be utterly careful. Why? What is there to be so much careful? Because when we sit for meditation, we begin with, say, the form of Christ or form of Ramakrishna. But within a few seconds, say you're working in an office, the face of your boss comes. That fellow, he spoke like this to me. This is what is running in the mind. So that means that will have its effect. Because you are attempting concentration. With concentration, whatever you do will sink deep in the mind. That is danger. That's why jage, joge, jege, thakbi. You should be very, very careful in practicing meditation as well as in performing worship. Ghumer kale take dakbi means before going to bed, call upon God. This is the another message given by Ramakrishna. Before going to bed, call upon God. It is very, very significant because whatever thought remains while we slip into the sleep will come once you get up. You try this. You not trying, you just observe. Whatever thought was there just before when you slipped into the sleep, that will automatically come when you get up. This presupposes that this thought was running all the while in the mind. If you had a bad thought, you have contemplated on that in your subconscious mind all those hours. That's disastrous. So, call upon God before falling into sleep. That is the message. Third one, Kajer majhe take dhorbi. Hold on to the post of God when you are moving around your duties, doing your duties. Ramakrishna gives the example that one who holds on to the post and then the children swing, is it not? When they hold on tightly, they will not fall down. If this grass becomes loose, he will dash his head somewhere. That's what happens to us. We get dashed every day and still we don't realize. Thakur says, Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna says, Kajer Majhe, amidst your duties, even while performing your professional work or whatever it is, Take Dhorbi, put one part of the mind on God. Hold on to Him. Ramakrishna also said, hold on to Him in one hand and perform the duties in the other, with the other. Last one. Or Hardam Tars Shevai Lagbi. Continuously, always. Hardam means all the moments of the day, all the moments of your life. Serve God. This much is the message. Now, obviously, before you ask, I myself put the question, is it practical? Maybe you are working in a bank, and those who are working in software companies, they are occupied with programming. Kaje majhe take dhorbi, how will you do that? And then hardam tar shevai lagbi, how will you practice that? Is it possible? In bhakti, it is possible. That was given by Ramakrishna also, and Holy Mother also told one woman devotee. when she said that I don't find any time for spiritual practices, mother simply, in direct words, unambiguous words, she said, whatever you do, consider that as the worship of God. That at least we can try. Thus, we have these 4 commandments from Sri Ramakrishna. May Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna give us the strength, wisdom, and all the succor needed to practice these in our life. Jai Ram Krishna.
So we wake up for tea, and hopefully you are back at 4:30. Try to. We to listen. And feel nice is too good. Focus on
Announce for online audience.
we are breaking up for tea. We'll be back at 4:30.
Now there will be a break for half an hour. We'll again meet at, not half an hour, 20 minutes break. We'll meet at 4:30.